हमारी उस तरफ से होती है, पता नहीं क्या नॉइज़ है, वो हमारे यहाँ से नहीं होगा, हम भी उसी को कर रहे हैं।
अंदर का छोटा पंखा उसकी भी काफ़ी आवाज़ आती
है। ये वाली किसकी तो है?
इसकी अंदर जो है।
अच्छा,
So we will study the Java Sutta to conclude the meditation. It's a long sutta. The operative part will read. I'll give the background of the rest. This is the Buddha addressing the monks at Savatthi and telling about an earlier incident when there arose a battle between Devas and Asuras. And the Lord of the Devas then called on the Devas to Tavatimsa heaven and told them that when we have gone to battle and if you experience some fear or terror or get hair standing on your hand, then you should look at the crest of my banner. My dhajja. Dhajja means flag. So you should look at my flag, and that will give you strength, and your fear will go away, because you will see that I am such a powerful person. And he says, supposing you are in a position you can't see my banner, then you see the banner of Prajapati, king of gods. Then if you can't see Prajapati's banner, then you see Varuna's god, he is also another king. Then you can't see Varuna, then you see banner of Sakka, then you see Isana. So he names few of the generals, you can say, of the, and says, you see anybody's flag, then it will take away your fear. So Buddha then says, this is not correct actually, because this is not going to happen. Tells monks that by looking at the flag of Indra or any other Deva, the fear is not going to go away. And he says, what is the reason? Sakka, the Lord of gods or monks, is not free from lust, free from hate, free from delusion, and is therefore liable to fear, terror, fright and flight. So he says, it is not a good strategy. So if you, in your meditation, you go to a forest or an empty house, Shunyagara, then you should remember the Buddha, Itipiso Bhagavan. He says you should remember it. If you fail to remember me, then remember the Dhamma. Sakkato Bhagavata Dhamma. And if you fail to think of Dhamma, then you should remember Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavata. And he says, why? Why will it happen? Why will it work? He says, because Tathagata, O monks, is Arahant, supremely enlightened, is free from lust, free from hate, free from delusion, not liable to fear, terror, fright, flight of any kind. So having said that, then he summarized it. And that's a beautiful thing, I think, worth remembering. So let's read that. The last four couplets. Aranye से start करेंगे. Aranye rukkhamuleva sunyakadeva vikkhavo anusareta sambuddham vayam tumhakanusaya. Whether in a forest or at the foot of a tree or in some secluded spot, O monks, do call to mind that Buddha Supreme, then you will be free of fear. There will be no fear to you at all. Nache buddham sareyatha lokajetham narasabham atha dhammam sareyatha neyanikam sudesitam. If you don't see it, if you are not able to think of Buddhas or monks, that Lord of the men and chief of the men, then, O monks, think of Dhamma, so well preached and leading to Nibbana. Noche dhammam sareyatha niyanikam sudesitam atha sangham sareyatha punyaketam anuttaram. If you cannot think of Dhamma, O monks, which is well preached and leads to Nibbana, then do think of the Sangha, that wonderful field of merit for all. Evam buddham sarantam dhammam sangham cha bhikkhavo bhayam vacham vitattam va lomahanso mahesati. To those recalling the Buddha Supreme, to those recalling the Dhamma sublime, and to those recalling the Sangha, no fear, no terror will make them shiver. So that is the advice given to overcome fears. Then we'll study the Sutta, Sutta Nipata 5.4, Nittagu's questions. I hope you remember the background.
This is number 3 now.
Hmm?
This is the third monk.
Yeah, Nittagu. This Nittagu's questions is quite well appreciated in the Dhamma circles, especially in the Western field. Teachers, they recite it very often.
उसका कोई हमके लिए ज़्यादा वो है इसमें?
The questions are more pointed. Puchhami tam bhagava bruhi me tam manyami tam vedagum bhavitattam kuto na dukkha samuddagata ime ye kechi lokasmin aneka rupa. So puchhami tam, I ask him, आपसे पूछता हूँ, bruhi me tam, please tell me, मुझे बताइए. And Nittagu is saying it. Manyamitam, मैं आप मानता हूँ. Vedagum bhavitattam, I consider you to be Vedagu, that is accomplished in knowledge. And bhavitattam, one who has cultivated his mind. Kuto na dukkha samuddagata ime. ये केचि लोकस्मिन अनेक रूप है. अनेक तरह से जो दुख आता है, कहाँ से आ जाता है? From where do various kinds of suffering in this world come?
That's the question.
That is the first question.
दुःखस्सावेमं पभवम् अपुच्छसि तं ते पवाखं यथा पजानम् उपधिनिदान पभवन्ति दुःखा ये केचि लोकस्मिन् अनेक रूपा.
So part of it is just repetition, you can say. Dukkhasya vemam pabhavam. I'll tell you the origin of pain of Nittagu because you have asked me. So, and then tamte pavakhami yatha pajana. I'll tell you that in the way I have known it. जैसे मैंने जाना है. उपाधि निधान प्रभवन्ति दुःख. दुःख जो है उपाधि से आता है. उपाधि means clinging. The kind of जो हम अपने उपाधियाँ मानते हैं ना, our achievements, our wealth and gold and silver and family and children and wife, they are all called upadhis in that sense. It's saying upadhi nidana. The key reason is upadhi, the attachment of various kinds, and all kinds of suffering in this world originate from upadhis.
यो वे अविद्वा उपाधिं करोति पुनः दुःखमुपेति मंदो तस्मा पजानम उपाधिं न करिया दुःखासा जाति पभवनुपससि.
यो वे अविद्वा, जो विद्वान नहीं है, उपाधिं करोति, उपाधियाँ इकट्ठी करते रहते हैं. पुनः पुनः दुखम उपेति मंदो. मंद जो है, जो foolish person, that dull person, पुनः पुनः, again and again goes into suffering. From life to life he goes on into suffering. Tasma pajanam, therefore the wise people, upadhin na kaira, don't create these upadhis, those things to which you can get attached. Dukkhasya jati pabhavam anupassi. Having seen this as the birth and source of suffering, don't create upadhis. This word upadhi जो हिंदी में आ गया, it has come from the same source. उपाधि किसको कहते हैं आजकल? डिग्री को और great achievements, हिंदी में उपाधि किसको कहते हैं? So anything which you use as a to show that we are great and we are so wonderful. Basically, which bloats up our sense of self. तो उस गुरु नानक की स्टोरीज में भी एक इस तरह की उपाधि की बात की स्टोरी आती है. That he goes to one big merchant's house, maybe around this area only, and he finds that there are so many flags. He has a huge bungalow and flags. So he asks him, "Key flag क्यों लगाए हुए इतने सारे 10 flag?" Says, "बाबा मैंने रखा हुआ है कि जैसे जैसे कितने लाख मेरे रुपए हो जाते हैं ना, मैं उतने उतने फ्लैग लगा देता हूँ. सो मेरे पास 10 लाख हो गए हैं तो मैंने 10 फ्लैग लगाए. जैसे पैसे बढ़ते जाएंगे, मेरी वेल्थ बढ़ती जाएगी, उतने फ्लैग में लगाओ. सो गुरु नानक गिव्स हिम सुई होती है ना, नीडल, कपड़ा सीने की, इसे रख लो बेटा. क्या करूँ? वो अगले जन्म में ना मुझे दे देना वापस. सो जैसे कैसे हो सकता है, ये सुई के अपने जन्म में मैं कैसे दूंगा? कहते नहीं, ये सारे तुम्हारे ये तो साथ ही जाने वाले हैं तुम्हारे. 10 लाख के तो तुमने डिग्री लगाई थी, पुट सच ए बिग फ्लैग्स फॉर 10 lakhs. Why can't you keep this small needle for me and give it to me? So he is shaken up. ये उपाधियां जो है मुश्किल में डालने वाली.
So, why is this outside the deed hidden a delusion framework?
This is the same thing. It is, he's been put as a word because the Brahmins are used to that kind of thing, to display their wealth, display their knowledge. They're all Brahmins from that Babari, जो उसके students हैं ना. And they're all given to that kind of display of their wealth and display of their powers and display of their knowledge especially. So he tells them कि उपाधि basically means bloating up sense of self because of any reason. उपाधि से तुम क्यों उपाधियाँ लेते हैं? लिखते नहीं है PL, BA, PA, MA, PhD, वो भी तो उपाधियाँ ही हैं, डिग्रीज जो उपाधियाँ ही हैं. So all that is to add those words to show that I am somewhat superior, I am from here, I am from there, I am from that. So that in that sense it is seen as a somewhat more subtle way of putting the place where we get trapped. So the upadhiyan hai, they are in that sense. Whenever we write, PL, PhD, what is the need for writing in my in my card or in my, if you have a card, visitor's card, write down your name and write down your address so that people know. Phone number लिख दो यार, और क्या लिखो? But you write PhD, ex-professor, this, that, former director of this. That's all basically to.
So ये delusion वाली चीज को वो करना.
Yeah, it's a self is being brought out in the way that they can be understood by the people. Because word upadhi must be very well known to those Brahmins.
अच्छा,
इसीलिए वो शब्द यूज किया गया.
इसमें सर सुधाकर ने कमेंट दिया है कि इन तेलुगु जीवानुपाधि इज और उसका फिर जीवानुपाधि का संधि विच्छेद करा है जीवन प्लस उपाधि, एंड इन तेलुगु possibly it means means of livelihood.
Nice. All the languages have the roots in the similar. काफी चीजें उनमें common रहती है root level पे. यम तम अपुच्छम हा अकित्तायनो अन्यम तम पुच्छाम तादिंगा ब्रूहि कथम नु धीरा वितरन्ति ओघम जातिं जरं शोक परिदेवं च तम मे मुनि साधु व्याकरोहि तथा हिते विदितो एष धम्मो. वो कह रहे हैं यम तम अपुच्छम, जो मैंने पूछा, अकित्ताय, जो तो आपने मुझे पूरी तरह से समझा दिया. अन्यम तम पुच्छाम, एक और पूछना है, एक अन्य क्वेश्चन और पूछना है, तो प्लीज आंसर इट. कथम नु धीरा वितरन्ति ओघम, जो वाइज लोग हैं, धीर पुरुष हैं, वो इस फ्लड को, इस संसार के फ्लड को, बर्थ, ओल्ड एज, सॉरो, लेमेंटेशन, कैसे क्रॉस करते हैं? हाउ डू दे क्रॉस इट ओवर? तम मे मुनिम साधु व्याकरोहि, ओ मुनि, प्लीज एक्सप्लेन टू मी इन फुल डिटेल Why? Because you know it. Tatha hite vidito esa dhamma. Because this whole dhamma is very well known to you. So you please tell me. So first he asked, of course, reason for suffering. Then he is saying, how do we cross it over? This flood of birth, old age, sorrow and lamentation.
तो इसमें why would, I mean, I'm a little surprised. Why are they asking him such what would appear to be basic sort of?
Yeah, because these things in the Brahminical tradition, they have their own views. So they want to know from him whether his views make more sense than what they have. Because in the Brahminical tradition, the whole emphasis was on yajna and propitiating the gods.
As a means of ending
And the moksha.
पर मुझे ये बताइए, if there is the concept of soul etc., then isn't the notion of nirvana, moksha, whatever, liberation, antithetical to that?
That is merging with the oversoul. No? The soul merges with the oversoul. Atma Paramatma se mil jati. That's what they say.
That's
Yeah.
moksha. And till that happens, the rebirth keeps happening.
Yeah.
Atma keeps rebirth.
That's the one of the concepts of the traditional dualistic thought process. Atma अलग है, परमात्मा अलग है. तो आदि शंकराचार्य ने उनको एक करके create कर दी थी ना soul की problem. Said there's no separate thing. There's one. Duality हटा के he made it one. So he came nearer the teachings.
No, but in the former version, the yagnas etc. are all and the
Means of propitiating the gods, so that they can take us into their custody or whatever word you want. In their अपनी शरण में ले लें इनको, and they will help us to go. जैसे वो वैकुंठ धाम का concept था ना, जहाँ पे कि भगवान कृष्ण या विष्णु जो अवतार रहते हैं, वहाँ पहुँच गए तो फिर तो then we are liberated and we become free. Then we eternally live in the company of Lord.
and then when Shankaracharya did this, so by his
There was a lot of opposition. The traditional Brahmins, led by the great Ramanujacharya, they opposed him very heavily. He says, what is this? You have removed the concept of Paramatma itself, effectively. Then he had to compose those verses to show that he means devotion, but in a different sense. Bhaja Govindam jo hai, you compose that powerful verse, but the whole essence of it is, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not this, you're not that, you're not that.
so what was his thing, that you do what in order to liberate what?
Contemplation. Jnana marg. Contemplate. Meditate and contemplate. Meditate.
And then what happens?
Then you will be free from duality. जो dualism का concept है, मैं हूँ अलग और संसार है अलग, merge with all one. जो आजकल वेदांतिक concept अद्वैतवाद पढ़ाते हैं लोग सब, अद्वैत के टीचर्स हैं, जी और रमना महर्षि और follow that Adi Shankara's concept. And Shankara comes from the same root, Mahadev. He is seen to be the Adi Yogi. No? Mahadev को शंकर जी कहते हैं.
Oh, that's his name.
Yeah, so that's how he got his name Adi Shankara, the first Shankara. In modern times, he seemed to be, by his devotees, he seemed to be incarnation of Lord Shiva.
Achha.
That's so Shankara का मतलब शिव ही होता है.
I know that was his name. That was
Yeah, but he adopted this. No, Shiva इसको शंकर भी कहते हैं.
Yeah, I know, but ये जो सज्जन थे,
Adi Shankara,
right?
he adopted that name.
Oh, because he's.
But I think his name also probably might have been the same. I don't remember what was his primary name. Maybe it was the same. But he constituted that concept of Shankaracharya, चार जो मठ बनाए और उनके हेड को शंकराचार्य कहेंगे. All that was done by him. That's how he revived the consolidated Vedantic concept of. Yesterday we were discussing Hinduism. So he revived that concept and reduced the conflict, tried to reduce the conflict between Shaivites and Brahmins. But he got into trouble because his teaching was misunderstood by many traditional people.
So what happens? So there is no duality. So therefore, the purpose.
We are all one, and so when we meditate and we just become one with the whole cosmos. Atman, the one inner reality and the outer reality, they merge together and become one with it. So we are free and free from all illusions, free from all delusion. That's it.
अच्छा तो ये concept बताते रहते हैं कई जो अपने मूवी टूजी जो.
No, they are all following of that. That you sit and just observe consciousness. Consciousness is one. All of us have the same consciousness. And so you merge with that and then you'll be liberated. First you understand, then you meditate on it and then it will become, then you sit down and feel what is happening and then this is the consciousness manifesting. Now become one with it, stop thinking. So the whole attempt is that consciousness which is permeating within us is the same as the consciousness permeating in the world outside. And therefore we are all one, and this duality is the real cause of conflict and trouble. So there is a lot of truth in it. But that concept of oneness and all that is not accepted.
It's only a concept.
It's only a concept.
Is another concept.
Is a basically a very romantic, appealing concept.
But it's still a concept. It's like the soul business.
We are one. So Buddha says, whether you take yourself, we are one, or you think we are different, both of them are in delusion. Because there's no we here. It needs a Buddha to be able to find it out. It's too exalted for us to really get to. That's why you get stuck. He used to say, no, if you think I am, then you are cut up. You're stuck at the best. You are an anagami. You're not gone beyond it. If you really have imbibed that, if you have already given up craving, completely given up aversion, then, and you are established in I am, then you are that. But if you are not given up craving, you are not bothered to look into aversions, and then you posit the theory I am, the only true reality is I am, everything else is mirage, there is nothing other than I am. In all conditions I exist, because I am the feeler, I am the knower, I am the thinker. So then you get caught in that philosophical conundrum.
No, but the Advaita guys are not saying that. No.
Yeah, of course. But they always say that everything else is impermanent, but I am is permanent. You see, you listen to any of them, they all say that. No? I Am That is the book of Nisargadatta Maharaj. So that notion that I am remains.
But it could also merely be wordplay, no? It could merely be an issue of semantics.
No, it could be. It could. I don't deny that. It could be. That's why because Ramana Maharshi has not used those kind of phrases so much. It's not emphasized on it. And there are, I think, sometimes I've heard somewhere Muji also saying that eventually you have to transcend I am, but not others. Papaji will not saying that. I have not heard it at least. And in most of the talks of Muji also he will hold on to that. I don't know what is that, but we need not pass our judgments on them.
No, it's from our understanding.
It's a question of our understanding that Buddha, because we are interested in Buddha's teaching, he says that considering this notion also is not the ultimate state of understanding.
But जैसे बुद्धा के टाइम पे तो ये this lot was not there, this Advaita lot.
Yeah, they were most of it was duality lot.
Correct.
So that's what he's telling them. He's trying to tell them that.
हाँ तो वो तो मैं समझ गया. This thing I understand, but what I'm saying to you is that.
Now, if you read the next one, then you'll see how he's bringing them to the same point. Give up attachment to consciousness also. Let us read that, we'll see.
कित्ताई सामी ते धम्मम वित्थे धम्मे अनित्यम यम विदित्वा सतोचरम तारे लोके विसत्तिकम.
Visattikam means full of desires. Kitti means I'll explain to you. Sami होता है ना, Sami means this word is future. I will. That means I will explain to you the Dhamma which I have seen directly. It's not based on hearsay, but direct Ditthe Dhamme, I have seen it. Anitiham. Yam viditvascha satocharam, by knowing which and mindfully dwelling, if you dwell, you can cross over this world full of desires. I'll tell you that, it says. I'll tell you that. And what does it say? That if one dwells mindfully, then he, and by knowing that, he'll cross over the desires.
Tanchaham abhinadami mahesi dhamma muttahamam yam vivitva satocharam tare loke visatikam.
Tancha aham abhinandami. I salute it, I respect it. O great Rishi Mahesi, Dhamma Uttamam, your great understanding. Yam viditva, by knowing which, Satocharam, and mindfully, Tare lokam visattikam. How will I cross over this world full of desires? So this answer is very profound. That same thing which we have discussed at many places.
Mindful होने से मैं ये कैसे हो गया?
Mindful होके desire से कैसे ऊपर हो? Yam kinchi sampajanasi, whatever you know comprehensively, Uddham adho tiyan chapi manche, either above, below, across, etesu nandincha nivesanancha. So remove delight in them. Panuja vinyanam bhavena titte. Let not consciousness stay on these things at all. Things which come and go, let not the consciousness stay on them. So you should not allow the thought process get into all these things which are, whether you are left or right or above or below or whatever comes into the domain of our awareness, being impermanent, don't let the consciousness stay on it. Don't try to stick to that. So you should remove the tancha, etesu nandincha nivesanancha. Nandi means delight, and nivesancha means the tendency to stay on that. You should remove that tendency to stay on that.
तो dispassion की बात कर रहे हैं.
Yeah, he's talking about, because the desires are question. He's talking about that. So let's get down.
एवं विहारी सतो अपमातो इक्को चरम हित्वा ममायिथानि जातिं जरम शोक परिदेवंचा इत्थेवा विद्वा पजाहेय दुःखम.
So, evam vihari, by dwelling like this, sato, mindfully, apamatto, diligently, bhikkhu charam hitva mamayitani, let the bhikkhu dwell, giving up the concept of me and mine. Selfishness translate here. Mamayitani means mera, or main or mera ka concept. Jatim jaram sok pardevancha. Thus the person idheva vidva pajaheya dukkam. So this is how one transcends birth, old age, sorrow and lamentation. So you have to abandon the notion of me and mine.
एते विनातामि वचो महेशिनो सुखी तथम गोता मनु उपाधिकम अथा हि भगवा साई दुखम तथा हि तो हीते विदितो येसा धम्मो.
एतद अभिनंदामि वचो महेशिनो. महर्षि जो मतलब बिग ऋषि, महर्षि आई अभिनंदन करता हूँ. I take delight in the words of the great Rishu. Sukhitam, those have been well expounded. Gautamam upadin, Gautama anupadikam. From Gautama, who is free from all upadis. So that is translate there as equivalent to Nibbana. Adhahi bhagava pahasi dukkham. The Bhagavan has really given up all dukkhas. Tathahite vidito esitam. That's how the Dhamma is well known to you. ते चापि नूनापजायो दुःखं ये त्वं मुनि अतिथम ओवदेया तम तम नमस्सामि समे च नागा अप्येयमं भगवा अतिथम ओवदेया. And those who will certainly let go of dukkha, O Muni, so please teach me constantly. Says Bhagava atitham ovadeya. So may the Lord constantly admonish me, so that I can come out of this dukkha.
Yam brahmanam veda kumma vijjana akincharam kave bhave asattam adhahi so odhamimam attari tinno cha param akhilo akanko.
Yam brahmanam vedahu avijanya. When you know that one is a Brahman or possesses and is a knowledgeable person, akinchanam, he has nothing, he possesses nothing. Kama bhave asattam, he is not clinging to the world of lust. Adha iso ogham imam natari. Certainly he has crossed this ogha, this flood. Tanopa tinnopa chaparam akhilo akanko. And therefore he is free from the barrenness of mind and free from all kind of doubt.
विद्वा चा यो वेदागु नारो इधा भगवा भवे संगा संगमिमं विसाज्य सो वीता तनो अनिघो निरासो अतारी सो जाति जरंती भूमि.
Vidwan is Vidwan जो है, and Vedagum is knowledgeable. Naro idha. So he in this world he is a wise and accomplished man who bhava bhave sangamimam visajja, who has abandoned the pull of constant becoming. So vita tanho is free from tanha, anigo free from all suffering, niraso free from any asha, any longing. Attariso jati jaranti bhumi. He has really gone beyond birth and old age. So I say that. This is the Mittavu Sutta. So I was thinking इसमें वो भी आएगा शायद here and there, but that is not there in this sutta.
Just to understand, Buddha did not in his time actually come across the proponents of Advaita.
So they were not there.
Exactly.
They came much later.
Exactly. So then.
But there might have been in this Brahmajala Sutta में mention है. You may not have interacted with them.
In 62 वाला.
हाँ, उसमें mention है वो. Some people think we are all one, and उसको भी mention है. There's only one consciousness which is pervading. That also is there. So in the suttas we don't find जैसे Jain disciples से उनका interaction काफी आता है.
अच्छा.
उनके Jain disciples के साथ. But उनके साथ नहीं है, पता नहीं क्यों. I don't know. हो सकता हो किसी में और मैंने ना पढ़े हो अभी तक, ये भी हो सकता है. But Brahmajala Sutta में 62 philosophies में तो सब है, all possible things, including this that there was कि कर्म का कोई मतलब नहीं है, ऐश करो, एंजॉय योरसेल्फ,
and
दैट इज देयर।
annihilation is-
एक आत्मा है और जो हमेशा एटर्नलिज्म हमेशा ही बनी रहती है, keeps on changing clothes, that kind of.
So that's the traditional one, right? And then if you keep doing your thing, then it goes and merges and that's it.
जो डिवोशन वाला पाथ है ना, उसका कॉन्सेप्ट यही था ना कि उसको कुछ बाद में एक विशिष्ट अद्वैत नाम से भी चला था ना, उसी समय जब अद्वैत चला था तो वो विशिष्ट अद्वैत वाली बात करने लगे। There is a school of that kind also. The idea was that we are एक हम परमात्मा का अंश है, that kind of. So अंश फिर उसमें जैसे ड्रॉप है ओशन की, ड्रॉप ओशन की ड्रॉप ओशन में मिल गई तो एक हो गई उसके साथ। So लेकिन हम हैं तो ड्रॉप अलग से, लेकिन जब हम साधना करेंगे ठीक से तो ओशन में मिल जाएंगे, विल बिकम वन विद इट। सो इट इज सम काइंड ऑफ a specific thing. So it maintains that duality for some time and then that it becomes non-dual, that kind of thing. So these are all philosophical speculations कह लो, कुछ भी कह लो, philosophies कह लो आप. But they're all, he says they're all mental constructs. Or some of them are outright lies based on pure delusion, but quite a few of them are based on partial realization, on the path of Dhamma. That's what he, in that sutta he mentions that. ऐसा नहीं है कि सारे ही लोग पागल थे और ऐसा नहीं, they were following the path but they got stuck at something and the experience was so exhilarating, they thought this is the ultimate. उसे जहाना का experience इतना है, you can get trapped there easily. When you get a complete dissolution of the body in practice, सारा शरीर चिन्मय हो गया, सब कुछ कॉन्शियस हो गया ना, होल बॉडी जो अभी तक चेतन जड़ थी अब चेतन बन गई, अब और क्या रह गया? So you can get caught there itself and then constantly strive to attain that very state again and again and again, and not knowing that you are creating a craving for a impermanent state because you have taken that to be permanent. A state of, in your philosophy, that is the highest. You get trapped there in trying to attain the state of dissolution. Bhanga Gyan ho gaya to badi baat ho gayi. That you can get trapped there. Because that can be very enticing. Speculative है, अच्छा लगता है, सारा शरीर खुल गया, देखो यहाँ से मैं टेंशन ले जाता हूँ, उधर चला जाता है, यहाँ से लेता हूँ, उधर निकल जाता है. There's nothing left. Body is not me, not mine. Then you can philosophize on it without really giving up craving. So, there's all traps of बहुत सारे हैं where you can get trapped. See, when you are a real, true devotee, it gives you great joy. Accelerates the body, I remember. So the whole body will break down, and as I say, just as you have experience of Bhanga, similar experience you can have when you have a true devotion of deep extent. I remember vividly कि जब हम कीर्तन वगैरह करते थे, very deeply we would submit and surrender. The whole body will crush like this. We have sensation, and the whole body will be lightning की तरह will go through the whole body. Just be left totally speechless and just sit. So you consider that as a ultimate. But जैसे वो अजांचा कहते हैं ना कि if you have delusion you go to your parents' house. Jansu में वो क्या कहते हैं, go to your parents' house and find out whether you are enlightened. अब वो monk से तो नहीं कहेंगे ना go to your wife, नहीं तो हमारे लिए तो वही काफी है. That is enough for you to know how much enlightened you are. So the real test is there, because when you are a sannyasi and living alone and you get such experiences, then you are living seclusion and everybody is giving you respect. You don't have anything where people will come and kind of torture you for this or that. आपको respect मिले जा रही है, खाना भी time से मिल रहा है, सब कुछ हो रहा है. So you get into a make believe. You know? जैसे भाइयों की बात आती है ना, he was so highly respected and these people used to pay obeisance to him and he thought he's an arahant. He was fortunate he had somebody to tell him कि कहीं नहीं हो तुम अभी. He told उसका जो देवता friend था, he told him not only are you not arahant, you are also not on the path to becoming arahant. You are following something else, you will never become arahant. So that is the state of, can be the state of many people. You get respect and you have a feeling of, you know, I like that word, tricycle, my article, the romantic view of spirituality. We are all one, all love, all kindness, everything is fine. The world is full of love, the world is full of kindness. So you give up the hard, harsh realities of the world. Put a blind eye to your that. It's a leela, it's a play of God, everything is happening like that. Maybe it's having a, so you don't see, allow injustice, leela hai, ye bhi injustice, ye bhi leela. Everything is seen as a leela of the God. If it appeals to you, then you are perfectly fine. You know? If that appeals to you, then you are quite at reasonable level of peace. But then when you are struck deeply, that's what I written yesterday. People who have that kind of a intellectual understanding of things, those who have an intellectual understanding of oneness, everything is good, everything is fine, they remain in a state of, you know, unless disturbed, they will remain very happy. And when there is something which strikes you harsh, or you have a temptation, then you are not able to handle it because mind control आपने किया नहीं. If we are all one, then ठीक है, everything goes. शील की जरूरत क्या है? जो रजनीश जी का कॉन्सेप्ट था वो भी उसी से ही बात होता है. We are all one. Yes, have fun. We are all one. What is there? That's also a pleasure. Have a joy. So there are, you know, kind of but a possibility of slipping is very high.
And so through
even that famous Buddhist monk जो गया था तिब्बत से, first monk, चौगंत्र, क्या नाम था? चौगंत्र रुपा था ना शायद. You know what happened? How much he got carried. He was supposed to have a great pragya, but that self-control नहीं था उसमें. He had that tremendous ability to teach, ability to teach meditation and seen through the delusions of to a reasonable extent, and yet he got trapped. He got trapped in everything. So I mean, that was a really shocker for me. That he could get trapped and take up alcohol, take up sex, take up all kinds of, break down all kind of shilas, even though he's supposed to be such a accomplished person in that sense. Obviously there was something very deeply missing. And when he died, he was about to die, he, it seems, told one of his students, I thought I was above all this. So many scandals happen, and you know.
बस अब वो तो greed में ही आ गया, फिर तो delusion तक तो बात ही नहीं पहुंची.
नहीं, but his intellectual abilities, his meditation abilities, his ability to see through others' minds, and yeah, it was.
अच्छा, तो जाने things were.
Yeah, he had great. He was hailed as a great teacher till his time as he started slipping. The moment he disrobed, then things started going haywire. So the need for, जो सुधाकर ने भी पूछा था ना, I think he's online. So the need for practice and hard work is there definitely. Because for self-control, for Shila, you need hard work. You must have practiced Samadhi to the extent that mind is in control. Otherwise you will slip. सिगरेट पीना शुरू हो जाएगा, शराब पीनी शुरू हो जाएगी, and then you'll say मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ, शरीर कर रहा है. You can always say that. मैं थोड़ा कर रहा हूँ, सिगरेट तो शराब शरीर पी रहा है, शराब शरीर पी रहा है, and then you can get into total confusions. I mean, Chögyam Trungpa का तो it's amazing.
But that's not उनकी इतनी strong समाधि थी.
नहीं, उनके केस में समाधि उस सेंस में थी ना, he had gone into that kind of abilities, but he's not, the Shila was not perfect. समाधि का अभ्यास आप बगैर शील के भी कर सकते हो, शील को परफेक्ट न करके भी कर सकते हो. अब क्या था उनके केस में, कहाँ से कौन सा संस्कार उखड़ गया क्या मालूम नहीं, बट ही वाज सच ए, उसकी उनकी राइटिंग बहुत पावरफुल है, मैंने पढ़ी है वो, उसकी कटिंग थ्रू spiritual materialism, cutting through spiritual materialism, very good. And he points out all these things about how one can get trapped, and he got trapped in it. It's a great learning experience. You can see this happening over and over again. Happening in Rajneesh, you can see that. You know, blatant examples. So effort to practice self-restraint, उसमें तो effort लगेगा ही, वो तो लगने ही वाला है, अपना तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Then practice pragya. That also to begin, the beginning will need effort. To go to effortlessness, you have to go through effort. You can't start and give up. Effort को नहीं करना है तो चलो यार ऐश करो, बैठे रहो, हो जाएगा. ऐसा no.
Yeah, to get to a state of effortlessness,
you have to go through effort, because sometimes people think that effortlessly ही करनी है तो why do effort?
Yeah.
So that is saying Vishwamitra was an ancient example.
Yeah, I mean that is a legendary example. अभी तो मैं तो वो दे रहा हूँ जो जिनका influence हमको directly होता है.
Who was a good example?
विश्वामित्र का आता है ना, who created a different world for himself. He had that tremendous power. Sage था वो.
Sage, yeah.
उसको to subdue him कि कहीं वो कुछ गड़बड़ ना कर दे, तो उनसे किसी अप्सरा को भेजा गया था. हाँ, मेनका ही था शायद. Some अप्सरा was sent, and he married her and had children. And he created a different world, and Indra was frightened कि तो he will take over the whole heavenly realm. He has such powers. उसने कहा इसको ठीक करो.
सुधाकर क्वेश्चन है कि अभी effortless पे बात हो रही थी, when does it become effortless?
Yeah, it will naturally you will feel the need for it. You naturally feel कि effort काफी हो गया. A time comes when you feel that effort is really, when you are moving towards the understanding of there's no I. At that stage, effort has to be given. Effort is needed till you are really confirmed that मेरे शील अब नहीं टूटने वाले. मेरी समाधि इतनी है कि मन मेरा टिक जाता है कुछ मिनटों के लिए कम से कम. जो मैं टास्क करना चाहूँ, I can do it for reasonable length of time. मेरी प्रज्ञा इतनी होगी कि मुझे intellectually सब समझ में आ गया. उसके लिए भी एफर्ट करना पड़ेगा. We have to challenge ourselves to see the world in a different way. It's so difficult, you know, to challenge it, to see the world as not so real. But a time will come when you see it's enough, in meditation at least. And then the whole effort, that's how the path of not just morning 1 hour, evening 1 hour, 22 hours also. That is the key thing. Test of our morning, evening is in the 22 hours. That is where effort would be needed. And when we feel the effort is not needed there, then certainly effort. When people push our buttons, press करते रहते हैं और हम उछलते रहते हैं, then we know we still need effort.
We need effort or we need more contemplation?
Yeah, contemplation, and for that contemplation also is an effort. to see through the delusion is a big effort. To study, reflect is an effort.
Actually, yeah,
It's a,
reflection is a big
it's a very big effort of a different kind. Challenges you. It's a very challenges you so strongly. अभी जैसे ममाई थी नहीं, मैं नहीं हूँ मेरा नहीं है, तो मैं और मेरा नहीं हूँ तो भैया ये दुनिया में कर क्या रहा हूँ मैं? What the hell is going on? If the children and family is not mine, then what am I doing? Why the hell am I doing it? It needs a tremendous amount of reflection and coming to term with it, and not coming to term in the sense कि उनको छोड़ के भाग गए, or you reject them or refuse to look after them and give up your responsibilities. Carry on the responsibilities and still be free. Yes, कहा जाता है ना, to be in the world and not be within it. That's a great amount of understanding and great amount of dispassion is needed for that. So your heart of Buddhist meditation है ना, उसकी ज्ञाना कोनिका थेरा वाली. So the first book which I read on Satipatthana, masterly writing. There he makes this word that eventually person lives in the world but not of the world.
ये वो effortlessness वाली स्थिति.
सर भारती का एक क्वेश्चन था, could you please explain free from barrenness of mind? What does it mean here?
That word is a very technical word. Let me just see what word is there, because the translation जो है परम अखिलो कंखो, जो अखिल शब्द है, it is used for अखिला is also used for play. अखिलो means जो play वाले छोड़ दिया उसने, is become totally barren, desert like हो गया. अखिलो is also used for a desert. So ऐसा नहीं है that you become a kind of zombie and you know संसार मिथ्या है, कुछ नहीं रखा है and you become a zombie. You have that, retain that playfulness, retain that mind's abilities to engage with the world and yet not get trapped. So that would be a proper translation. I can check up in my dictionary. I think there are many meanings of the word khila. So I'll just see in the dictionary. See, one is khila word meaning is waste or fallow land, barrenness of mind, mental obstruction. And so it means akhila means open-hearted. So that makes it clear. Open-hearted. You don't close yourself and not relate to the world.
So there is one question from Amit. Are all 8 dhyanas essential milestone for Nibbana?
Not at all. Not even 4. The Buddha clearly mentioned it. They are not essential. Though he recommends it that you should get, for his chief disciples and others, he used to say, you should get free from both the sides. You should be adept in both the, one is through the path of dhyanas, through the path of panya. So Sariputta did not follow the path of dhyanas to that extent. So he didn't have those powers which Mahamoggallana had. So, but his bhagya was profound. Mahamoggallana followed the path of dhyanas, Cheto Vimukti, Panya Vimukti. 2 words are there for that. Cheto Vimukti is through the path of Chitta, transforming Chitta greater and greater and greater, becoming stronger and stronger. So Mahamoggallana had tremendous powers. Sariputta didn't, but it doesn't mean that his mind was not stable. I mean, to the extent it was needed, it was perfectly still and stable.
इसका पर कहीं सूत्रार्थ में डायरेक्ट रेफरेंस आता है?
चेतो विमुक्ति पन्या मुक्ति का
आता है.
See, the difference between these two great disciples illustrated in a very simple story. And I think it is in a part of a sutta somewhere. That Sariputta was walking and a big yaksha, he came and he put his fist strongly on Sariputta's head. बहुत जोर से मारा उसने सारिपुत्र यक्ष ने. तो मुगलान पीछे आ रहे थे, तो he came running and said, "Are you okay?" Said, "हाँ, थोड़ा सिर में दर्द हो रहा है." There is some pain in the head. So he said, how much strong my Dhamma brother is, that a yaksha hit him. If he had hit with the same force on a mountain, the mountain would have crippled. So he praises Sariputta for his tremendous abilities to handle discomfort. Sariputta says, "See what a great my brother is. I didn't even know that I was hit by a yaksha and he can see what I can't see." So that's the kind of relationship between them and the love and affection they had for each other. And this shows the two differences in their abilities. It doesn't mean Mahamoggallana was not established in Panya. Obviously, Panya ke bagair tum mukt nahi hoge. But the depth to which Sariputta penetrated is much greater. It is said in commentaries that generally it is believed that he is the person who composed Abhidhamma. Because he could see, he could see up to 11 mind moments. Could break down these mind moments to that extent. I mean, imagine, there are millions of mind moments every second. So that's the extent to which he could penetrate the mind's functioning. Which obviously was Panya and strong mental abilities also. But this Panya was so powerful that he didn't allow any state to overwhelm him even this much. He could see through that. Mindfulness was so strong. He could see the arising and passing away of things with such great rapidity. Good. So it's all yours, Deepak. Firstly, you can share with them photographs if so.
फोटोग्राफ सब अलग से कोई घर में जाके ईमेल बना के शेयर करना है. और एक बार वो देख लेंगे कौन सी सही है कौन सी नहीं है.
At least बता तो दो. Arpan, why don't you share with them our yesterday's? It would be good to share.
इस बारे में डिस्कस कर लेते हैं.
So we can keep the conversation going. That's fine. So we have basically been able to locate another plot of land, and that's pretty much it. So we have to now
describe the topography, the place, how far it is, why we have chosen, what is the reason, everything we should describe. They all are going to be your trustees, so better tell them. And you are the managing one, so you have to tell everything.
So as we have shared often in the past, we are in a part of Haryana where there have been records of both stupas and monasteries. So there is one such site about 30 kilometers from where we are sitting in Yamunanagar just now, which is a place called Adi Badri. And we've been attempting to locate some land in the vicinity of those archaeological ruins to establish this monastery that we're talking about. So the archaeological site is very close to a riverbed, and where there is and so this is where we were yesterday able to find potential sites. So of course it will take us some more effort and time to work out with the landowners exactly what's available, what we can take, etc., etc. And the site has a um, it's got a little elevation, and it's all the elevated part is all forested, of course, and the flat part is where there has been some agriculture going on. It's very close to the main river, which is Som, and it's also got a little monsoon nala going through it.
Bridge.
I'm sorry,
Bridge to cross the river is being fortunously being connected at the same place.
So this village whose name I'm just missing just now is
Ramkatda.
Yeah, it's on a new road being constructed that will link Adi Badri with other sites in Haryana and it actually goes to Himachal. We're very close to the Himachal border. So I think we've made good progress this time, and
at the moment there's no arrangement of crossing the river, and that bridge is being constructed fortunately at the same place. So within a few months we hope. Just as we had to struggle to cross it, isn't it? To cross that rivulet at the moment, and if when it becomes big river, then you can't cross it. So that's a very fortunate thing that it has started. The work has started on it. So in a few months, we hope then there will be no accessibility will be not a problem. At the moment, accessibility is a problem. So Deepak will then share the photos. Okay, we'll send the photographs, and we'll put on a small website with data. Those photographs and the videos of that place. You know, it's all surrounded by hills. All around there are hills, and the place which we have identified is also basically a hill.
That's right.
That it is supposed must have been a bigger hill which has been cut and part of it has been leveled off. So the portion which is the hill, which is fully forested actually, that is what we are praying that we should be able to get and buy that if possible. So if we get it, I think it will be a very good site, because if we go as the crow flies, we can go through the hills to that ancient monastery. It's about maybe half an hour, we can reach there on foot.
That's right.
So that would be a very great thing, because that ancient monastery has an authentic recorded place by Yun Sang, that there in this area there were at least 5-6 monasteries he mentions, and 1,000 bhikshus were living there. Of course, at the moment the digging is of a few cells are visible and a hall is visible. Some slightly underground meditation cell is also visible there. It's quite a sacred place. Last time when we had come, we felt very good. This time we couldn't meditate. It was very hot sun and very humid. It was extremely fortunate if we can really get that. So all our friends should sit and during meditation send good wishes that may this task be fulfilled. That would be really good. So Deepak, yours, all yours. तो टॉक भी ऐसी रखी है इसमें, why are we here? So we have told you why are we here at At least here we have told you at this place in literal sense. Now Deepak will tell us in a deeper sense why are we here.
Okay, so this is a talk of Ajahn Chah, titled "Why Are We Here?" and uh, this was given in some hill monastery. Uh, Ajahn Chah was not very well at that time, and as per the talk, this is one of the, if not the last, one of the last talk which Ajahn Chah gave to the lay people. And soon after, he fell ill, and then I think he got hospitalized. So, in this talk, Ajahn, uh, the Ajahn Chah is old, and he doesn't have much energy to talk. And so these things are reflected in his talk when he's giving the talk to the laypersons. Just a second. And one of the first thing Ajahn Chah tries to explain is about the term Khaya Vayam.
Khaya Vayam आता है ना उसमें. In this suttas the Buddha uses this word.
And he explains that the decline and dissolution of all conditioned phenomena. And he gives this very powerful simile that originally there was water, but that water got converted into ice. But sooner or later, the time comes, if you put the ice block out in the sun, that the ice will melt, and whatever will be left is just this puddle of water. And he says that we are like this. Our bodies are like this. That eventually they are on the path of decline and dissolution, similar to any other conditioned phenomena. And he uses Hayavayam then to give this reference to this birth age, or sickness and death. And eventually he tries to convey this message that our body is like lump of deterioration. And
I can relate.
And so in the slide number 3, Ajahn Chah again tries to use one of the powerful teaching of Buddha, where uh, Buddha says that our body is made up of earth, water, fire, and wind element. And thus, whenever I come across these things, so the essential message, as I understand from Buddha's teaching, is not to really take it literally and trying to scientifically prove it, but I think the whole essence is that trying to see that there is no the solidity which appears to us as body as an external appearance, but inside it there are a lot of elements playing it, and at the core of it, these are the elements which is the body essentially becomes the interplay of these elements. And if we see our body as an interplay of these elements, our attachment towards this body will eventually reduce. And this is, I think, the main emphasis which comes uh, to see the body in terms of these elements. And in the 32 parts meditation, when uh, we recall what are the different parts of our body are, and that also is essentially the same. Not to see body as something one piece, but essentially some of all these things which are inside, and then this distinction of what is earth element, it's easy to understand that anything which is solid in the body, flesh, skin, bones, they are the earth element. And what is this water element? Anything, all the liquids in the body, blood and pus or thing which they are all part of the liquid element. This warmth in the body, which this energy which digests our food and keeps our body temperature almost constant. That is the fire element in the body, and there are like winds blowing through our lungs, and there are internal winds in the gastro channel. They're all the wind element. So essentially, it's way to see our body like that, so that we can this deconstruct the notion that we just label people that I'm male, I'm Deepak Gilani, and kind of label. So it, this can help us deconstruct this notion of solidity and permanent, which we tries to attach to our bodies. And then in the slide number 4, Ajahn Chah gives this example of skeleton, and in what form. I think in the main sala there is this skeleton. And he gives this example that many people who come to the sala, they get very afraid when they see this skeleton. Many of those just rush out of the sala seeing the skeleton, and they probably are not able to sleep for some time. And many people who sit there keep wondering whether this skeleton is male or female, but they can't figure this out.
In Wat Pananacha, there's a small baby
Also,
kept, who died as a child.
So then Ajahn Chah uses this skeleton as an example to teach us and give us the wisdom. He says that whenever you have to move, whether you have to come in the car, you have to walk, if you have to live, if you have to sleep, if you have to do anything, without this skeleton, you cannot do this. And the essential theme is that we are not able to look inwards. We just always look outward, and then if we are able to have this recollection of what we are from inside, then overall this sense of this attachment and craving towards his body and in general can get reduced. And in slide number 5, these words, I think, hair, nail, teeth, skin, these references to these words also come in during the ordination of a bhikkhu. And he said that many times the persons who are getting ordinated, they get confused that why are we being taught these words. And essentially, these are the outer part of our body to which we really attach, to which we really see as beautiful. And then he again wants to highlight the the foulness in these things. He gives this example that our body, our skin is are really smelly if we don't take bath for a few days, and then if you come near any other person, that person will obviously tell you, will complain you about the smell. And we use soaps to hide the odor of our body, but no sooner it becomes same. So, and he essentially wants to bring that these things are like transient and imperfect, and not to get attached to these things. And he gives this message to the laypersons to try to be, you yourself be the refuge onto yourself. Attahi atano nathu. And the message, he says that we try to find refuge in the outer world, and because of the transientness of the outer world, the things change, and we keep on looking from one refuge to another. But we need to bring this refuge in awareness, in us. And I think what he means when he says that we need to have refuge in us is to uh, get this wisdom in us, through which we can see this whole interplay of conditions outside, and not getting attached in the outer domain. And then he urges the lay people to ask yourself these questions: who am I? Why am I here? Why I am born? Do I really attain anything in this life? And so, essentially, the main essence which he tries to convey through these questions is to get this sense of reflection, to try to see that why are we here and what are we doing, and try to become more aware of our actions, and try to become more mindful. So that's the essential message he tries to give to the laypersons. And the slide number 7, and he says that we fail to see suffering that is waiting for us in the future. And he gives his personal example that when he was young, he used to use this coal to polish his teeth, and when his teeth were white shining, he used to feel very happy. And he says that now the time has come that I had to go to dentist and remove all my teeth because they were failing for some time. And he said in one shot he got all his 16 teeth removed. The dentist himself was very anxious of doing that, but he forced that dentist. And so that's what he says, that we rely on our body and the vigor of our body of the youth, and we fail to see that what is lying ahead when we are getting old. And that's the way to kind of a wake up message he wants to give to us, that there is nothing in this body which we can depend on. And he gives us another simile. This is possible simile which comes is that I don't remember the exact words, but don't go cherry picking on the way. He says that while there's this some local saying in the Thailand, that while you are coming back from home, you stop in between and you see a cherry tree, and you start picking the cherries from the tree, and start eating it, and no sooner the evening comes and then you are stuck in between. And that kind of message he tries to send across, so that it's kind of a wake up call to the followers. And in the slide number 8, he says that don't wait until you get old. He says that we keep on postponing the things that wait till I get old, and he gives his example that many people have this attitude that when we go old, we'll go to the monastery. But when you ask them, when they are old, and when you ask them to go to the monastery, they'll make an excuse that now my ears are not very good. I cannot listen to what's being said. Let me not go. So,
तो हमारे यहाँ भी जो ट्रेडिशनल वो है क्या वाणिज्यप्रस्थ and whatever those those things are also
उसी सेंस में है ना
shaky.
वही ना that first you have अर्थ धर्म काम मोक्ष बना रखा है उस हिसाब से चार जो थिंग है. So you have first brahmacharya 25 years you study, you do this study with the idea that then you become grahast, then you take family, then you earn money, do this. But then we had vanaprasth, which we have forgotten. So it is expected that after grahast is nearing, after you have fulfilled the responsibilities of grahast, then you will become vanaprasth. Means you will go to a village, a forest, and live there, which meaning serve the society. Start giving up your attachments and serve the society at large. And then you are fit to take up sannyasa. So in that sense, it had a meaning, but then slowly and slowly, it was not meant that brahmacharya was meant for only sensual joys. It was meant to study comprehensively everything. So the period of education was not expected to be only how to earn money and be done with it. You have to learn how to live, not only just how to get a livelihood. तो वो सब बातें छूट गई तो इसलिए उसमें वो भी डिटेरियोरेशन हो गया. आजकल मैं तो बार बार कहता था फ्रेंड्स को, आजकल तो वानप्रस्थ तो खत्म ही हो गया. If this grahas take vanaprasth, the society will be transformed.
Okay. And he also tries to give other examples. He says that many lay followers who are rice farmers, when they get young, they marry and they have this wish to earn money, and in that wish they keep on working hard. And he says that I've seen people who age of 90, they are still doing the farming, and just wants to bring out this message that kind of wake up, don't wait for these worldly dreams of that once I have the money, then I'll pursue for the wisdom path. And another simile he gives in slide number 9. He says that suppose you're walking and you see a poisonous snake, the eventual the instinct will be to get out of the way of the snake, and you will be safe from the biting of the poisonous snake. But what we do essentially is that we fail to see the poisonous snake ahead, and we just walk across, and eventually the snake bites. It's too late for us. And I think with the reference to poisonous snake, he wants to bring out the dangers which lies ahead, that eventually we are all getting old and we have to die. So if we can see when we are young, we can see when we have vigor, we can see what lies ahead, then we can try to work towards getting more wisdom rather than running around for the worldly things.
Yeah, both of you should look at me.
तो आपने तो सही किया है ना, you
But sir-
followed Ajahn Chah.
No, I'm saying old age. If you want to see the old age implications, I'm available for you. If you want to see the implications of old age, you forget sometime. Just recall, and then you'll know.
And in the slide number 10, he gives this example that many times it happens that when the person is mortally ill and is on the deathbed, then the relatives will whisper Putra Putra in the ears of the person who's dying just to
In the hope that it will give him a good rebirth.
yeah, and he says that rather than trying to help, it will only confuse the old person. So rather than confuse, let him die more peacefully. But essentially, the message is that just waiting and trying when you really know that the time has come, and if you wait till that time, then eventually now nothing will happen in that short time. So whatever has to be done has to be done
You do Buddha Buddha in youth.
in the youth. Yeah, and so yeah, that's the short presentation
Good.
from Ajahn Chah. And I think Sudhakar said initially when Arpan was giving the introduction to our site, he sent this message that I missed it. So Sudhakar not sure what was the proper reference to I missed it, but let me see if it's online. Yeah, if your reference to I missed it is that what is the activity which we have been doing. So essentially we came near this site of Adibadri to see if we can get a piece of land where, which can be used to build the monastery. Okay. So no, Sudhakar, actually I didn't share this presentation. I just made this presentation yesterday night. So if you want, I can send an email. Okay, I think it's almost 8:30, so we can take the questions if people have questions.
Is Rajesh also online?
Rajesh was for some time. Now he is not. Any questions before we close for the day? Yes, so Sudhakar is saying I couldn't follow Arpan's presentation. It is difficult to follow the audio. Is audio not clear, Sudhakar? Yeah, so I think with respect to our trip, we will send out an email and possibly share some of the videos and the photos which we had clicked, and look some details about the location also to everybody, and then we can do follow-up discussion. Okay. Any questions? So, sir, we have Amit, Bharti, Deepthi, and Sudhakar online. Rajesh was there, but I think beloved.
Thank you everybody.
And Deepti Singh, much metta for getting the land.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Okay, thank you everybody. We will close the session now, and we'll meet next week. Thank you.